What is up, fellas? Hey, this is NFL points, picks, and props for week 10. Congratulations to you for tuning in to the best betting podcast on the internet. Of course, you can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on all of your podcasts of choice. But because we prepare this for the visual medium, definitely check us out on YouTube if you are listening. I am Kyle Garlett in Denver, Colorado. He is Ben O'Connell in Chicago, Illinois. And that down there at the bottom of the screen is Tommy Burch in Springfield, Massachusetts. And we are the crew that brings you every week the best bets of the NFL week. Week 10. So, guys, I was out in California last weekend. My brother's got a 13-year-old daughter. He was telling her to stop aging. He wanted to enjoy her for longer. So please stop aging. I don't have a daughter, but I do feel that way about the NFL season. Slow down. Maybe we need to space these games out instead of every 7 days, like 10, 11 days, because we're already now more than halfway through the regular season. And that makes me sad because I absolutely love this sport. And this past weekend, a great example of why I love this sport. Tommy, I'm going to be taking this to you here in a second. Joshua Dobbs goes to Minnesota, gets traded to Minnesota, does not take a single snap in practice because they are preparing rookie Jaren Hall to be the starter. So they give all their snaps to Hall. Hall admittedly looks pretty good on that opening drive. He goes out with a concussion. Dobbs gets brought in. He has not taken a snap. He doesn't even know the names of the guys he's throwing to. Tommy, obviously some things carry over. Like everybody's running route trees and blitz pickups and that kind of stuff goes from team to team. And he's had as much experience learning new playbooks as anybody. This is his fifth team now in 11 months. How difficult is it, though, to step into a situation like that? You don't know the play calls, you don't know the terminology, and you've never taken a snap from the center before, let alone thrown to any of the wide receivers. Tell me how difficult that was for him as he stepped onto the field.
There is a countless number of outlying factors that were just screaming for Josh Dobbs to fail. We already talked about cadence from his center. Getting good cadence from your center is very important because if you haven't played with a center at all your entire time with this team, you've not taken a single snap with a center, and then you have to go out there and you have to practice your cadence. That is just because cadence is so important to not fumbling the ball off the snap, especially under center. Because if any of you guys have watched high school football up to the college level, they snap like a center snaps the ball and they let go. And that quarterback needs to be under him enough and prepared to take that snap. And that's just the smallest part of it, right? When it comes to his receivers, yeah, he's going to know the route tree. But each of his receivers he has never thrown to, he doesn't know how fast they are, how they get out of their how they release out of their stance, how they get into how they cut in their routes. Like if you're running a slant, some guys do a hard head fake and a step to the outside before cutting in. Some guys just loop their slant in. So what we saw a lot from Josh Dobbs, he wasn't leading his receivers necessarily, unless he was outside of the pocket. He was giving them high-pointed passes so that they could slow down and get up to the ball in a place where he knew they could get to it and he wouldn't have to worry about timing it out to him. It was very, very smart football because these receivers are incredible athletes. There's some guys out there that he doesn't know if they're like a 4-2 type player or if they have a really quick burst off the line because there's some guys like Bobo for the Seahawks. He ran a 4.9 in the combine, but he is so quick off of the line and he's so quick laterally. There's so many outlying factors with his receivers, with the cadence from his center, from communication, and especially like with the stadium being so loud. That's just a situation they're asking him to fail. The NFL is just handing him a huge L on a platter, and he just formed it into a W, like that L was made of Play-Doh.
He obviously started, he started rough. He got a safety, although it was a 3-man rush. I mean, come on, offensive line. He fumbled the ball twice, but you could watch him improving we're desperate to see quarterbacks improve over the course of the season. We watched him improve over the course of one game. It was really something to see.
It was incredible. I mean, that game looked like when he got in there, it looked like it was going to be the worst game of his career. And what he had there was just stability and he was just a presence, and he never gave up. I don't even know how I could describe it. He kept his head up, he kept his chin up. He went back to the sideline. He was talking to all of his players, and that was also probably the time when Kevin O'Connell was like, okay, like maybe I should deliver the play to him in this way when I'm on the line. Maybe I should have like given him more specifics about this. And then that was just the levels of communication
Mhm.
and Josh Dobbs being so coachable and so moldable. And that's the most important part of a football player, of an athlete in general, let alone a quarterback. That he just after this game alone, he has secured himself at least 5 to 7 years as a secured backup spot, making millions of dollars in this league.
Well,
This was a career defining game.
you called it smart football. There may not be a smarter quarterback in the NFL than Josh Dobbs. I mean, this is an aerospace engineering major. He had a 4.0. Guy has worked for NASA. He's literally a rocket scientist. So you may not have a smarter guy to go in there and learn. And all credit to Kevin O'Connell too, because he did break it down into the language that he communicate with his quarterback. And I mean, on the road, like you said, a loud stadium, come from behind. It was beautiful to watch.
I loved it. I mean, there's not a better example of like pure, just pure football, pure gridiron. Like when you think of what the NFL is and why we love it so much, this is going to be something that pops into people's heads because
Yeah.
this is this is why we love to watch the game, and it's why we do what we do, why we give these picks, because and why we're so passionate about the sport is because of shit like this.
For those of you who don't know, Tommy has played college football. He's also a football coach. This is why he was my go-to on this. He was a lineman. I mean, the line, obviously, blocking for Kirk Cousins very different than blocking for a mobile quarterback like Josh Dobbs. So the linemen all are playing a very different style of football than they had for all of the season before that. So I mean, it was really really something special to see. And because of the great outing from Joshua Dobbs, that is the topic of today's quiz. Our game today is going to be about great backup quarterback moments in NFL history. Let me get the quiz called up here so I can begin with the answers. I believe, Tommy, you were our winner last week. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay, so you're going to go first here. I'm going to describe to you a backup quarterback, and you're going to tell me who that backup quarterback is. All right, simple enough.
Are they current or they can be in previous years?
They could be in previous years because not everybody has shined in 2023. But they're all people that you know. I didn't go back and we didn't do a whole Earl Morrall in the Baltimore Colts winning the Super Bowl kind of thing. And no Jim Plunkett in 1980. Don't worry. That's nothing before you were born. All right. This backup quarterback made 3 starts in the regular season, but then made all 3 starts in the postseason, including Super Bowl 52, where he won the MVP award.
That is Nick Foles.
That is indeed Nick Foles, backup quarterback to Super Bowl MVP in 6 games of football. Well done, Tommy. All right. On to you, Ben. This backup quarterback started in Week 17 for the Packers in 2011 as Aaron Rodgers rested for the playoffs. In place of Rodgers, he threw for 480 yards and 6 touchdowns and was then given a $20.5 million contract by Seattle that offseason.
Was that Jalen Smith?
It was not Jalen Smith. Tommy, do you know who that might be?
I can't remember his name, but I remember the game. It was so funny because it was his only good game of his career.
He parlayed that into a starting position with the Seahawks that was ended as soon as they drafted Russell Wilson. That man was Matt Flynn, who was going to be Seattle's starting quarterback. Then a little guy out of Wisconsin who was a 3rd-round draft pick named Russell Wilson beat him out in training camp, and Matt Flynn was shipped off to the Raiders, where, of course, his career died because that's where all careers go to die. All right, Tommy, to you. Down 35-3 at halftime of the AFC wildcard game, and with the starting quarterback out, this backup quarterback led the largest comeback in playoff history, eventually winning a game 41-38.
41-38 AFC wild card.
The game was a while ago. It was a few years. It was about 30 years ago, but this guy is still relevant in the NFL today.
I don't know. I don't.
Ben, do you know?
Can you read it again? I'm sorry.
Down 35-3 at halftime of the AFC wildcard game, and with the starting quarterback out, this backup quarterback led the largest comeback in playoff history, winning the game 41-38.
No, I have no clue.
That was Frank Reich. Frank Reich was the backup
Oh,
quarterback for the
wow.
Buffalo Bills. Trailing the Houston Oilers 35-3 at halftime, he engineered the largest, in fact, it was the largest comeback in NFL history until last year's 33-point comeback. But the largest comeback in postseason history by Frank Reich, now the much maligned coach of the Carolina Panthers, who did he want Bryce Young? Did he want CJ Stroud? We're not sure. Maybe it was David Tepper. Who knows? All right. That was your question, Tommy, right? Yes.
Yes, it was.
All right. To Ben. When Trent Green went down with a preseason knee injury brought on by a dirty hit from one of the dirtiest players in NFL history, Rodney Harrison. I just want to take a shot at Rodney Harrison because I hate him. This backup quarterback was thrust into the starting lineup. He ended up winning the Super Bowl that year and was the runaway NFL MVP. Who took over for Trent Green and won the Super Bowl and the MVP? He had never started an NFL game until that year and became the NFL MVP. He is now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Kurt Warner.
It is indeed Kurt Warner. Well done, Ben. 1999 St. Louis Rams.
Iowa Barnstormer. There we go.
And he had been in NFL Europe as well. He was with the Amsterdam Admirals, I believe.
What was that?
Right.
What was that? That movie again?
American
Underdog or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
good movie. Good movie.
Did you see it?
I watched it.
I was busy watching Kevin, what's his face, being Sean Payton. Best casting ever. All right. When Tony, this is to you, Tommy. When Tony Romo went down with a preseason back injury that eventually ended his playing career, this fourth-round rookie took over a team that would eventually finish 13-3, winning him Rookie of the Year.
Dak Prescott.
It is indeed Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott. So Tony Romo took over as a backup, and then Tony Romo got replaced by his backup because he had a spinal contusion in the preseason that ended his career. But he's doing okay for himself right now, getting paid pretty well by CBS. All right, Ben. Acquired for the equivalent of a fifth-round draft pick in 2019, this backup quarterback took over for a terrible Marcus Mariota in the second half of Week 6 and never gave the job back, leading the team to the AFC Championship game that year. He was later named Comeback Player of the Year.
Is this Tannehill?
It is indeed Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill was a backup to begin the 2019 season. He finished the season in the AFC Championship game.
People forget that he was so mediocre with the Dolphins.
People forget that he was mediocre before this season. Are you kidding?
All right. Tommy, this is to you. This third-string seventh-round draft pick was behind a former number 3 overall pick, as well as the quarterback who was once the highest-paid player in the league. Injuries, however, moved him up the depth chart. He started the last 5 games of the regular season, and he took his team to the championship game.
Oh, this is just Brock Purdy.
It is indeed Brock Purdy. Well done, Tommy.
Just gave me a softball there, Kyle.
All right,
Pause
Ben.
was awesome, though. Yeah.
I had to think about it for a second.
In 2017, this backup quarterback signed a 1-year, $2 million contract, but an injury to the starter had him making starts by week 2. He would make 14 total starts that year, throwing for 3,500 yards, and he led his team to a 13-3 record and a trip to the NFC Championship game. The following offseason, he parlayed that success into a 2-year, $36 million contract.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I'm going to need that one more time.
Okay, this guy in 2017 signed a 1-year, $2 million contract to be the backup quarterback.
Yes.
He then was starting by week 2, The team finished with a 13-3 record. He went to the NFC Championship game, and that offseason he signed a 2-year, $36 million contract because of that 1 year. You know this player more than you would like to know. You know the team who gave him that $36 million contract based on this one season.
Oh, Case Keenum.
It is indeed Case Keenum, yes.
God damn it, that's
Casey
a steal
Keenum
right there.
Casey Keenum, a $2 million contract, has a great year, and the Denver Broncos decided to give him the farm, and he promptly shit the bed. All right.
Ben, we're 3-3 right now.
I
had to go through that. I had to go through that.
We have a tie, but fortunately, I have prepared for such a scenario. We have a tiebreaker question.
Oh, Kyle's so happy because we haven't used the tiebreaker.
We have not had a chance to use them for real. So here we go. Buckle in, folks. It's the real tiebreaker. All right. Assuming that Tommy DeVito does make the start for the Giants this weekend, and all signs point to him doing that, he will be the 10th rookie quarterback to start a game this season. That will be an NFL record. How many total quarterbacks will have started a game this season after DeVito makes his start on Sunday? Total quarterbacks who have started a game through, well, what will be 10 weeks at that point in the NFL?
So
Tommy, you give me your first answer. Yes.
So total different quarterbacks that have started.
Different starting quarterbacks in this season.
I'm going to say 43.
All right. Ben?
Oh, dude, that was really good. I was going to say 42.
The answer is 47. There have been 47. Well, DeVito will be the 47th different starting quarterback this season. There have been 20 quarterbacks who have made all the starts for their team. 12 teams have had to do the quarterback shuffle. For the record, last year there were 66 starting quarterbacks for the season, which was an NFL record. So right now the pace is on, or the race is on, to see if 2023 will break that record. So Tommy, you are the winner of the quiz.
I'm really on a roll with these quizzes. I don't understand.
Well done. Yeah, you need to start that. Maybe go on Jeopardy or something. Do something fun like that.
Yeah, it kind of stops at football knowledge. I'm sorry. I don't think too much for me.
I don't know how many categories they'll put up there for football. All right, so you are going to start with your games first. You will pick. We'll get you the big box here. And, of course, when we get down to our favorites, our top dogs and our easy money lines, you will pick first. Let's go ahead and get our ticker going so everybody can see all of the point spreads for Week 10. And we're going to begin with your first game. It's going to be taking place in the Emerald City. Washington Commanders at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks giving 6 points.
Yeah, so I think that there's going to be some people that are putting money on the Commanders just because of what we saw from Seattle last week. And yeah, it was a pretty god-awful game from Seattle just all around. But I think we just don't take into account that the Baltimore Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. The Seahawks are still a winning team, and they've proven themselves to be such. We've seen them. I mean, their first game of the season was horrendous, and they came back, they bounced back, had a great week. I expect the same, especially against the Commanders team that's playing Seattle at home. Well, technically, Seattle's at home. They're playing away in Seattle. There we go. And they just won by 3 to a New England Patriots team that it has the worst record in the AFC, I think, right now. Am I correct on that?
Tied for it, for sure.
Yeah.
I think they're at the bottom. Yeah, they're absolutely at the bottom. Yeah,
and from what I was looking at, I mean, I watched some of the game, the Commanders and Patriots game. I didn't watch much of it just because I'm a stats guy, and at the end of the day, this game was just horrendous to watch. I hate watching the Patriots play in general, especially this year. But this Patriots offensive line is banged up, and they are this entire season. Their motto has been a terrible run game. And when you let up 9.7 yards per carry and 87 yards and a touchdown to Ramondre Stevenson, who is a good back in his own regards, but his offensive line and the schematics around him are begging for him to fail. I am all for Seattle. I think Seattle's defense is just so much better than the Patriots right now, because the Patriots went from one of the best defenses in the league arguably one of the worst. I'm not having any fun watching the Patriots play any sort of football, and the Commanders only beat them by 3. And I think that's really telling. And I think that what it comes down to is I think that the Seattle Baltimore game was more of a testament to Baltimore versus I think that the Commanders and Patriots game is more of a demerit to the Commanders. So I think the Seattle's going to bounce back at home. 12th man's going to go crazy. Give me the -6 here.
My thoughts are that Sam Howell has actually put up, I mean, he's got 722 yards in his last 2 weeks, 5 touchdown passes. Obviously, they've got 2 great wide receivers, although Terry McLaurin is yet to go over 100 yards for the season. You know what? 6 points to me is a lot because Seattle to me is a little hot and cold. Obviously, they were hot when they beat the Lions. They've had some good wins. They've also had, like you said, a couple of bad losses. I really like the over in this. I think that Geno is going to go deep. We knew that the Commanders were going to take a step back on defense because they traded away 2 of their best defensive players. So it's not surprising that their defense struggled against the Patriots. Luckily for them, the Patriots are god awful, so they were able to get away with a win. The Seahawks are not god awful. The Seahawks just looked god awful 1 week, but we saw the Lions look that bad, and then they bounced back. Seattle's going to look bad and then bounce back. I don't love the spread though, because it's the kind of thing where Washington continues to throw. Howell gets a garbage touchdown, and all of a sudden, what was an easy win for Seattle becomes a 5-point win on the scoreboard. So, but the over under right now is 45.5. I can see this game as a 31-27 kind of a game where Seattle wins. I'm going to hammer the over and probably lay off the point spread.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kyle. This is a tricky line to play. Happy that I'm not Tommy right off the bat here. But yeah, I like the Commanders to keep this one close. I definitely like the Seahawks to win it. But yeah, I could easily see a touchdown coming, with like 4 minutes left in the game. And you don't really feel like it does anything towards the momentum of the game whatsoever. It's just, points that just occurred. I'm going to go with Commanders +6, but I'm probably not going to be playing it personally.
All right, Tommy. San Francisco 49ers coming off their bye and 3 straight losses. They are favorites on the road against a 6-2 Jacksonville Jaguars team. I was slightly surprised by this line, but the more I got into it, maybe I wasn't so. And so I want to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so this is an interesting scenario because you guys both know how much I love teams on the bye, off of a bye, and they're both off of a bye. So this is an interesting scenario. I think it's going to be a great game because both teams had 2 weeks to prepare for it. Um, I think when it comes to a situation like this, which we don't get to see that often, where 2 teams come off a bye and play each other, 2 teams, 2 weeks preparation, I think it really comes down to coaching. And I just think that Kyle Shanahan's the superior coach. I think they're going to come in with a great game plan against this Jaguars team that has been shown to lapse at times. And I also think that the 49ers, getting an extra week off gives gives Brock Purdy a bit of time to readjust, because we all know that Brock Purdy's still the guy we thought he was. I mean, he's had a couple of bad weeks, but even last game they played, he did throw for 2 picks, but he had over 300 yards and a touchdown. There was good things to take away from that game. And now with the addition of Chase Young, they're going to have, every single player on their defensive line is a star. And it should be an incredibly fun game to watch. I'm going to tune in not just as a 49ers fan, just as a fan of football. But I think that as much as the Jaguars have been tearing it up so far, they've had games that have been close when they shouldn't have been. I think they should have beat the Saints by a lot more than they did. I think they should have beat the Steelers by a lot more than they did. The Steelers are a winning team, but I think the Steelers are crutched by their defense. I am not a fan of the Steelers team this year. I don't see them doing anything past maybe a wild card appearance. I think they drop off. And their games against the Colts, both of them, weren't spectacular. I mean, yeah, they dropped 37, but it's just, when you're playing an injured Colts team, your second time around and your first time around, you only win by 10 against a team that you should be significantly better than. I just think they're playing down to worse, and they're playing up to better. I think the 49ers take this one away.
Um, you got the Nick Foles question right. Do you remember who his coach was when he won that Super Bowl?
Doug Peterson, yep.
Dougie P. I will not stand here and let you slander Dougie P. He's got the Super Bowl, while we've seen Kyle Shanahan gack a Super Bowl away. So I will not stand for Dougie P slander. Anyway, the 49ers get Deebo Samuel back, which I think is a big deal. We're still not quite sure about Trent Williams. He has been at practice, but he's not really practicing. But Deebo being back will be a big deal. What I think really makes the Trent Williams issue not that big of a deal is that the Jaguars are second to last in the league in sack percentage. That's going to give Purdy more time back there. If you look at the stats, Purdy hasn't looked good the last couple of weeks, but if you actually watch Purdy play, he's been actually pretty good. The numbers are a little deceiving. He has still made some excellent throws. He's made really good plays with his feet. And I think because of the Jaguars' lack of a pass rush and the return of Deebo Samuel, I think this 49ers offense is going to have a big game. I was like, wow, 3-point favorite on the road against the first place team. But I do think the 49ers are actually going to cover that because I think this offense is going to have a good game.
Yeah, I think the return of Deebo Samuel is going to be absolutely massive. I mean, I'm not going to fault this Jags team for only putting 20 up against a Steelers defense that I think is pretty stellar. You're not seeing a lot of teams lately put up too many points on that Steelers D. The 49ers, you just got to see some more offensive production, and you hope that comes back with Deebo. 17 points, man. I can easily see this game ending 19-20, just 20-17, right at that 3-point range. Uh, I'm gonna roll with the Jags on this one, just to be the lone wolf here. But I think that they can get it done. I think they have what it takes. They're gonna have to make some big plays on defense, but you know what? Maybe we're just underestimating Duval. I don't know. I'm gonna take I'm gonna take the Jags here.
It's interesting because even though Tommy and I are on the 49ers, Tommy does think that the Jags are going to score a couple of touchdowns, at least 2, from Trevor Lawrence. His prop of the week, Lawrence going over 1.5 passing touchdowns. So you don't see this as a 19-17 kind of game, I'm assuming.
Well, I don't at all, because I think that as much as I think the 49ers pass rush is going to be incredible and their front seven always plays up to standard, the 49ers have shown a lot of lapses in their defensive backs. And if Trevor Lawrence is given enough time, I think 2 passing touchdowns doesn't seem like it's out of range here. Plus money on 2 passing touchdowns against a team that has, especially in the last 3 weeks, shown a lot of difficulties in man-on-man coverage. They're getting beat downfield quite a lot, even with their safeties up top. I mean, there's a lot left to be desired. If they're going to score, I think it's going to be through the air. I think Travis Etienne is going to have a pretty good game, but I think it's going to be more of out of the backfield rather than pounding the rock. So I think I'm all for this prop.
Well, against that Steelers defense, Travis Etienne had like 70 yards receiving. So you may be right on the ball there. All right. Cleveland Browns at Baltimore Ravens. This game already was played once. 27-3 was the score. Baltimore rematch. Here we go in Baltimore now.
Yeah, I see a similar outcome. I mean, Baltimore has is up there as probably one of, if not the favorites for Super Bowl contention out of the AFC right now. Obviously with the Chiefs up there too, and I just think that this Baltimore team is exactly what the Browns are scared of. It's their kryptonite. Even if, because what's the word on Deshaun Watson right now? He's coming back, correct?
He will play. Yes, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, he's coming back, but I still don't trust him to come through with full firepower. I think as much as he may be healthy, he's missed a couple of weeks, and we know how Deshaun Watson plays after missing some time. It's not spectacular. He's not the best in that kind of adversity, especially away against one of the best teams in football. Ravens -6 seems like it's one of like it's in favorite territory for me.
Yeah, I mean the Browns did just come up with their first shutout since 2007. They held the Arizona Cardinals 58 total yards on 48 plays, which is
Wow,
absurd.
that is
But
absurd.
that was going against Clayton Tune, who sounds like a made up dude on some Madden knockoff game. He does not sound like a real player. This is against a guy who pretty good at football, and Lamar Jackson. He's got an MVP award to his credit. He may have a second one after this year's over. Um, the Browns defense will play well, but the Ravens are going to have short fields the entire game because the Browns offense, I don't think, is going to do anything.
Agreed.
As good as the Browns defense has been, they're third in the league in points allowed. The Ravens are first in the league in points allowed. So, yeah, no, like you said, the Ravens right now are the, even though they don't have the best record, or they're tied for the best record in the AFC. I think right now they are the best team in the AFC. If they can keep this up for a couple more months, they're going to be scary good in the playoffs.
Listen, the Ravens and the Browns, this is a fun divisional matchup. There is no love lost between these two whatsoever. Uh, Cleveland Browns, Lamar Jackson is way different than Tune. Tune's going to be a motivational speaker in 2 to 3 years. Lamar Jackson's going to be still in the league doing what he's doing now, winning football games. The Ravens are a great regular season team. I think this is one of those years where I'm just kind of holding on to the beginning of the playoffs to see what kind of team emerges then, because that seems to be the fall off. But until then, dude, boy, aren't they a dominant team. I like this Baltimore Ravens squad -6 right here.
Ben,
I,
don't knock the motivational speakers in the presence of the Kyle Garlett. Who do you think you are?
I'm not knocking them at all. I'm just saying, like, Kyle could be back there for Arizona. That's literally all I'm saying. I
I,
mean, like, like,
I'm curious as to what the topic of Tune speak. I mean, it's like how I didn't die that day in Cleveland, and that's it's a whole. Oh, I all I
this
saw was Garrett, Miles Garrett in my face, and I live to tell the tale. I don't
the
know.
strength of coming back to work the next day, Kyle. That's what he's going to. Some days you're not going to have a great day. Some days you're going to play against a really good Cleveland Browns defense. But you know
I,
what? That's not what you got paid to do. You got paid to show up and stand pretty. It's not your fault you had to play.
I can
I
imagine.
think I think that might be as difficult as getting a heart transplant and running an Ironman. It might be up there.
Yeah, dude.
People who are watching don't know that. They don't know that about me. So, yeah, that's Tommy. Tommy was describing something that I did once.
Cool
Um,
guy over here. This guy Kyle Garlett. Cool guy.
I do think that probably the phone call on the flight home to Kyler Murray was, "Hey, doesn't matter if you're ready. You're playing next week. We are not doing this again. You are back in for us." So anyway, all right, moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking of good defenses, they've got the Green Bay Packers this week, and I was cautioning people all this week. Don't read too much into the Packers win over the Rams. Brett Rippon was so bad that they immediately went out and signed Carson Wentz. So don't mistake the Packers for being a good team. Now they've got a really good defense to face.
Yeah, the Packers suck. I think that the Steelers as a team, they have the talent to be good. I think that their offensive coaching is what holds them back. Fire Canada, come on, let's do it. Rally the troops, boys. Fire Canada. But outside of the horrendous play calling that I think any but one of us could do better with, I think that their team, even the offense, when given the opportunity, can shine. Kenny Pickett looks pretty good when he's given the chance to flex his muscles a little bit. And you know what, their best plays are in the fourth quarter, and we're getting to like down in distance, and they got to just score. And Kenny Pickett says like, screw it. George Pickens is down there somewhere, and he throws a bomb, and Pickens comes down with it. That's like their best play in their playbook. And because they just have talented guys that can make those plays regardless of the terrible schematics and the awful play calling. Obviously, there's nothing negative I can say about this defense. The Steelers are one of the best defenses in the league, and their offense has the capability to be one of the an above average offense in the league. They're just held back, but the Green Bay Packers have none of this. They were blessed by the injury of Matthew Stafford. They reaped the rewards of the injury bug, and it does not strike twice in anyone's favor. So Steelers -3.5 is just so easy.
Yeah, no, I think this is a pretty obvious game. Although, as a George Pickens fantasy owner, I'm it's getting annoying because he has his pair of 100-yard games, and I'm like, got to get Pickens in the lineup. I get him in the lineup last week, 2 catches, -1 yards. Come on, Kenny, he's your guy. And what is Canada doing? Pickens should not be catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah. Anyway, the Pittsburgh Steelers are frustrating, but TJ Watt, he's got 3 fumble recoveries, an interception, 9.5 sacks. It's doesn't matter where there's a play happening on the field. It looks like TJ Watt is involved in it somehow. He'll be 25 yards off the line of scrimmage, and somehow TJ Watt is involved. The defensive player of the year race between Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, and TJ Watt is really one of the best races right now in football. All 3 of them are just looking like monsters out there. The Steelers, and Fitzpatrick has not been playing, but word is he's doing well in his recovery. The Steelers are about to get him back. This defense is great. Is it good enough to get in the playoffs? I don't know, but it's definitely good enough for them to cover against the Green Bay Packers.
I hate having to talk positively about this Pittsburgh Steelers team because it's so frustrating. It's like watching the Army offense with the defense of the 49ers. It's absolutely just atrocious football. Najee didn't, okay? Listen, it's so hard to watch this team, but they're better than the Packers because the Packers are even worse of a team, all right? I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers for all the reasons that you guys mentioned. I like them 3.5.
The Packers are a poverty franchise without Aaron Rodgers. It's ridiculous.
All right, thank you, Tommy. We now move over to Ben, and Ben will give us his games of the week, and we are going to begin with the aforementioned Joshua Dobbs at home facing the New Orleans Saints.
Awesome. I like the fact that Taysom Hill is getting to see the field and the New Orleans offense is starting to look a little bit better. All right. And albeit last week was against the Chicago Bears team led by the former quarterback of the Colorado School of Mines. Okay. But still, okay, I like it. You know what else I like? Not just I love Dobbs. I love the story of him taking his first snaps with the team on the sideline moments before he went into real live NFL action. I love seeing the video of all of the offensive linemen standing around just to hear this man's cadence so they know what to expect when they get out there on the field. I love it. But you know what? That was against an Atlanta Falcons team led by someone I really do not like. One, Mr. Arthur Smith, Mr. Nepo Baby himself. I don't know what's going on with Twitter, but they're just revealing the craziest things about this dude's dad. And I would love to see a movie about him and less of his football team, if you catch my drift. Without Justin Jefferson, I think this is a tough road for the team in the near future here. I love the story, but dang, Rudy moments are Rudy moments for a reason. I like the Saints here to cover 2.5.
Just to jump in real quick, have you guys seen the clip? I don't know if this is what you're talking. I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but I was trying to pull it up. I was a little distracted, but Arthur Smith's son dressed as him during the game, and he was play calling off of the play calling sheet, and he said, I want to give the ball to my number one favorite player, Bijan Robinson. His own son knows how to run the offense better than he does, and this kid is like 8. It's so funny.
All right. So what I love about this Vikings team is that they have been declared dead now 3 different times this season. They were 0-3 to start the year. Dead. No more No reason to care about the Vikings. Justin Jefferson goes down injured. Dead. No reason to care about the Vikings. Kirk Cousins ruptures his Achilles. Dead. This team is terrible. And yet here they are somehow at 5-4. And if the playoffs were to begin right now, the Vikings would be in the playoffs. Of course, so would the New Orleans Saints because they are the only team in the NFC South at 500 or better. So they're going to win that division by default because it's just a garbage division. But they're not necessarily a garbage team. Derek Carr has now gone 3 straight weeks without interception. Good job, Derek. As you mentioned, Taysom Hill, he's scored touchdowns now in 3 straight weeks. And I love the way they're using him. You've obviously got Alvin Kamara, who's doing well. We had a DeAndre Miller sighting this last week. They've got Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. There's some good weapons here, and obviously that defense is very good. I do want to believe in Dobbs, but there's a reason why the Cardinals moved him. He's limited, and he's going to be limited against a very good defense, a much better defense than the Falcons, and with a better coaching staff. They're not going to give it away. They're not going to. Bijan Robinson had like 11 touches last week. He's averaging over 5 yards a time he touches the football, and he's barely touching the football. So yeah, don't trust what happens against the Falcons. What happens against the Saints will determine really if this Vikings team is for real or not. Can they sustain this and actually get into the playoffs with Dobbs as their quarterback? If they can get past the Saints, yes, I think they can. But I don't think they're getting past the Saints. I think the Saints win this game by let's say 4 points. I think they cover that spread.
I think what what I was talking about last week or the week before was that the Saints needed to find their culture and find like their groove and what like they needed to find their environment. And I think they've absolutely done so, and they proved it 2 weeks in a row now. I really do like this Saints team, and I think they're going to go on a hot streak towards the end of this year. I think they're going to get up to possibly like a 12-5 record by the end of the year.
Wow.
Maybe an 11-6. We'll see. I think I have a lot of confidence in this team. The Vikings, I don't think they're bad, but they asked Josh Dobbs to work very intuitively, and even Kevin O'Connell was talking about it on the Pat McAfee show that he told Josh Dobbs that if he doesn't know to go and run upfield and make a play on his legs, which is great and all, but they're giving him a week of install. They're going to expect him to play more systematically now. They're going to expect more of a pocket presence. They're going to expect him to know where his guys are going to be. He's going to have timed out his receivers a little better. He's not going to be on the ground as much. He's not going to be running scared because he doesn't know what's going on. And I think that honestly plays against him a bit. I think one of his biggest strengths is his ability to get out of the pocket and make a play upfield. I think that he maybe has a little bit worse of a week this week. I think that he throws a pick, and I think the New Orleans Saints come away with a 5-point victory.
All right. The Detroit Lions off a bye against the Los Angeles Chargers off of a game against the New York Jets.
Yeah, so the Chargers absolutely whooped the Jets on Monday night, putting up 27 points on the Jets team that usually doesn't allow too many points. That, of course, was off the back of 3 fumbles lost by the Jets offense, who would end the game up 80 yards and down 21 points, all right? But throughout that, the Chargers offense was a little lackluster, only picking up 107 in the air and 84 on the ground. But honestly, they really had control of the game from the start. No need to really go too hard on the gas there. Detroit's a different team, though. They're a team that will catch up to you, stay caught up to you, and surpass you and make you catch up to them. They have a great offense. They like scoring points. And I question the Chargers' ability to stay caught up with the Lions. I expect the Lions to go out there, have an excellent day, put up 35 or so, really earn that thriller that their logo hits. You know what I'm talking about? That little thing that the cat hits. Yeah, I like the Lions in this one, -2.5.
Well, when the Chargers win games, it's because they're playing against bad quarterbacks and bad offenses. They are not playing against a bad quarterback and a bad offense this week. David Montgomery is back at practice for the Lions. He is going to play this week. And if you remember, his last 2 full games before he got hurt were both over 100 yards. What do the Chargers do better than anybody else? Suck against the run. And so I think that the Lions offense with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to run for 175 yards, and that's going to open things up for Jared Goff. I think that the Lions offense rolls, and I just don't think that without, we've got Mike Williams on the IR. They just lost, why am I drawing a blank on the guy who just went out with another injury? They've lost 2 of their, Joshua Palmer. Palmer's now out. There's just not enough guys left, and Eckler has been up and down. I think that the Chargers they just can't keep pace with the Lions. I think 2.5 is an easy spread. I think Detroit wins this by more than a touchdown.
As a Jahmyr Gibbs fantasy owner, not one that drafted him, one that picked him up on the waiver wire the week before. David Montgomery
Who was on the waiver wire? What kind of league are you in?
That's what I'm saying. These guys don't know ball. I picked him up the week before David Montgomery got hurt. He was playing okay up to that point. Now that we know what Jahmyr Gibbs' real potential is, because we've seen him, absolutely blow up the scene the past couple of weeks. I would love to see, especially against the Chargers team, that's biggest weakness is their rush defense. I think that they're going to give the ball to their top 2 guys a lot. I think we can all expect David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs to combine for probably 35 carries, maybe some more. I don't think they're going to need to rely on Jared Goff that much. I think Jared Goff's going to have a good, efficient, low pass attempt game. And I think the Lions come out of here dominant. I think -2.5 is I'd buy many, many points on the Lions this week.
All right, let's go over to Germany and the Indianapolis Colts against the New England Patriots in Frankfurt.
Yeah. I love Gardner Minshew. That's how I'm gonna start this off with. That dude's cool. Okay, and I just have so much faith in this guy.
He looks like a German pop star, does he not? Like he should release an album just in Germany.
God.
I feel like it'd be a bestseller.
I like to think that he's just walking around eating bratwurst, drinking beer in his jorts right now. Like this is what I live for. That's a quarterback, okay? Listen, the New England, they were a little bit more productive on offense, okay? But you know what? They still struggled heavily on 3rd down. I don't know if you guys knew this. They only converted 3 of 12 third downs last week. And, if you want to see lasting results from this team, they're going to need to find more success on the first couple downs, set up that third and manageable. This is the 25th ranked offensive DVOA. I don't think they can turn it around in a top half defense that Indy has. That's going to travel well. I like Indy to cover 1.5 here. But yeah, I am thankful that this game is the international game because it means I don't have to wake up early to watch it. I'll just see what happens,
Well, you got Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss, and we're getting an idea of what this team is going to look like once Anthony Richardson comes back. This is going to be a very similar to what we saw from the Eagles last year, when of course Shane Steichen was the OC. You're going to have great running from all angles, and it's going to then open up things. I'm excited to see where the Colts will be next year. Gardner Minshew is only a placeholder, obviously, but he's a better placeholder than Mac Jones. And there's no reason to care about this New England Patriots team anymore. The Bill Belichick's chase of Don Shula, he's 17 away from passing Shula. He's not going to put a big enough dent in that this year for it to happen next year. So we're still looking at 2025 before he possibly breaks that record. So I don't care about the Patriots because they do nothing for this league. They do nothing for football. The Colts, however, are interesting. They're exciting. They've got some good young players. I love watching Jonathan Taylor. I'm so glad that he's back. And Gardner Minshew, please. If he's not wearing lederhosen in his pregame warmups, I'll be very disappointed because I suspect He's got to be. He's got to have the suspenders on. He may have the high socks out there doing some kind of German jig before the game. I'm hopeful. But he's just a great personality. He's great for the league. Colts are better for the league than the Patriots right now. And I'm glad the Germans are going to get to watch the Colts whip up on New England.
The Colts aren't great, but at least they are exciting. They're good. I think they're a good football team, but they're exciting to watch. I think that the New England Patriots should be relegated to the XFL, and the St. Louis Battlehawks, led by A.J. McCarron, should come up and put a whooping on the NFL. That's what I think about the Patriots. Little Battlehawks shout out there. I think the Patriots are not only one of, if not the worst teams in football right now, they're also one of, if not the least exciting teams to watch in football right now. They not only do nothing to make fans excited to watch them, they do nothing for themselves to win football games. The Colts -1.5. Gardner Minshew playing overseas. I feel like he's gonna love it. I think that whole team is going to be excited for the opportunity because the Colts have culture. This is what I'm talking about. Good football teams have good culture. They have good locker room culture. Those Colts players are so ecstatic and excited to come out and play football. The Patriots players, sometimes it feels like they're sluggish. And I understand the injury bug hit them, but the injury bug wouldn't have done much regardless. I think if they had all of their players, I'd still be picking the -1.5 here. Yeah, Colts -1.5 for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and talk. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, just talking about this New England Patriots, the culture that they got going on there, man, I kind of feel bad for Patriot fans. Just Kraft rip the Band-Aid off and start the rebuild. You know, like Bill Belichick has hit that divorced dad, part of the contract. You know what I mean? Like he does. Have you seen him lately? He just looks disheveled. He just doesn't look like the old Bill that we know. And you know what? That's okay. Shanahan had that in Denver at the end of his career, at the end of his stint. It was fine. Okay, it's okay to say goodbye to a coach that brings you great success. But the the fans deserve the eventual rebuild, right? So I just don't know why they're delaying it.
There is not a single life scenario that would make me feel bad for Patriots fans. All right? They've got 6 Super Bowls. They're fine. They can go 0-17 for the next 17 years. And they could hire Josh McDaniels and have him back. I will not feel bad for them. All right?
As long as you know that's how we feel about you Chief fans now. I
With
hope
our
you know.
with our 3, okay. And that's if we go back 50 years. So with our 2. Anyway, I do kind of hope that Belichick is still around next year because I want him to be in charge of their top 5 draft pick, and I want him to draft a guard with his 3rd overall pick and watch Patriots Nation melt down. That would be the joy of my life, watching them freak out that Belichick is he's just completely off the deep end and runs this team straight into the ground. Although he's already done that. All right, moving on. The Patriots don't need any more of our
He
time.
ran his course. I think we're not giving enough credit to his breakup. I think his breakup in September, or at least a little bit before that. I mean, Bill Belichick's girlfriend's gone. He's not a happy camper anymore.
Yeah. He was he a happy camper ever? I've never seen him crack a smile. All right. On to 2 teams that deserve more of our mention because they've got 2 quarterbacks that we're going to really enjoy watching. The Houston Texans at the Cincinnati Bengals. C.J. Stroud, 470 yards last week. That's a new rookie record. Now he goes against a fellow Ohio State player. Maybe he's not so much known for that, but Joe Burrow did play at Ohio State. C.J. Stroud, a much better Ohio State player. Is he the better quarterback than Joe Burrow? Tell us, Ben.
Here's the thing. Stroud looked absolutely amazing and looked like the QB that the Texans are hoping he can be long term. And he's going to take a massive step up in competition, which I think is good for him overall, especially narratively, because lots of fans would have outrageous expectations if he was facing like a Bears or a Giants team, right? They would expect him to go out there and do it again. Okay, but he is going to face a really good football team in the Cincinnati Bengals team that gave Josh Allen a lot of trouble last week, who's an established quarterback. We know my feelings on Josh Allen, but I too can admit the dude can sling the rock. He's a top tier quarterback in this league. Uh, there is zero shame to falling to this Cincy team, and after that is bouncing back after another slow start. This is when Cincy, historically, this is when this team hits their stride. This is when they start figuring out. I think that Houston is a very good and they're a spunky young team, and I like that. I think that Cincinnati gets it done here. They beat Buffalo by what, 6? I think Buffalo is a couple steps ahead of Houston here. Obviously, that math never really translate in sports betting or anything, but I like the Bengals to get it done. Not to say that this won't be a close game by any means. I think it'll be very fun. I think it can be very telling of what this Houston ceiling could look like. But I think you can also expect to see a little bit of the youth from Stroud in this one. Uh, I like Cincinnati to cover 7, but I'm going to have this one on for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals were in complete control over the Bills. Even and the final score was closer than it was. The Bills got a late touchdown to make it look more respectable than it was. I think the biggest thing for the Bengals is they got T. Higgins going. He was having the worst season of his career. It's a contract year. He went over 100 last week. If you got both Higgins and Chase going at the same time, this offense becomes deadly. I do like the Texans. I mean, they had 3 guys go over 100 yards receiving last week. Obviously, Stroud was fantastic. Tank Dell was great. Dalton Schultz was magnificent out there at tight end. But that was against a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that has lost 4 games in a row. It's one thing to outduel Baker Mayfield. It's another thing to outduel Joe Burrow. Burrow looks healthy. Like you said, this is the time of year that the Bengals start to roll. The Texans, I think, will look fine. I think that the Texans can be proud of their game that they'll play on Sunday. I think they'll still lose by 10 points. And so I'm going with the Bengals.
Guys, I might have to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here. 7 points is a big spread. And the reason I say this is because I'm just taking a look back at their previous games. I mean, they put up 37 against the Jaguars. 37-17, that's a 20-point win. They beat the Steelers 30-6. They are no slouches against teams that are good. And we all know the Jaguars and the Steelers are both very good teams. I think there is a real shot that I don't think they win this game. But keeping it within 3 or within 4 and keep like a 3-point game is well within the realm of possibility, especially with the fact that at those times earlier in the season, they were just hitting their stride offensively. They were just finding out what they could get out of CJ Stroud. Now we know what we got. Now we know that their skilled players can get under the ball. We were a little worried about their depth at receiver, and we don't have to be as worried about that anymore. We were a little worried about like if Stroud could really be that superstar we wanted him to be. He was consistent, but he wasn't putting up superstar numbers. Last week gave us a whole lot of confidence. I think that you know what? Shot in the dark. I'm going the Houston +7 here.
All right. Well, when we get to the top dogs, I look forward to you taking them. Look, we're all like Stroud, and he's 14 touchdowns to just 1 interception. That is by far the best ratio in the NFL. He's the second best at third down conversions in the NFL. He's been fantastic. And I wrote a whole thing this week about how stop calling him a great rookie quarterback. He's just a great quarterback, period. He's now the runaway favorite. He's now minus 650 to win Rookie of the Year. He was plus 700 when the season began. He's been fantastic. It's just, man, that jungle is crazy. He's going to be on the road against a very good Cincinnati team, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun game to watch. These are both quarterbacks that if you like football, you're going to like this game. There's no question about it. All right, if you like football, if you love football very, very much, then you might like this game. If you only are mildly amused by football, then maybe I'll suggest you go find another game. It's the Tennessee Titans at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, I'll tell you what. I love football so much that I even watched the Mountain West Conference. That's how much football I love. And that's how much I need to watch this game. Okay, I really got to just love the shape of the ball and how it may fly through the air. But let's talk about this really quick. Listen, Tennessee just fell to Pittsburgh on a Thursday night. That was a short week, but despite that, Will Levis, I don't know. I didn't think he looked the worst. He had some good yardage. Didn't throw for any touchdowns. Had an interception. But you know what? It's hard to improve when the only film you got out there is a 4 touchdown highlight reel. I'm not gonna lie. It is hard to go back into the office and be like, well, how do we do this better? You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see what improvements he can make after being tested by what we can all agree is a pretty strong defense over there that they got in Pittsburgh. The Bucks, they're slowing down. They had a hot start. Now they're on what, a 4-loss streak, right? And they made a rookie, albeit probably the rookie of the year. They made him look like the MVP of the league. And Levis is going to see that, and he's going to say, "Why not me? Why not?" He's got that energy to go prove something. I don't know if Tampa Bay really does. I feel like they had it early on, and then when they lost it, I'm not sure how desperate they are to get that momentum back. Especially with Baker Mayfield back there, good old shake and bake. Who knows what he's gonna end up doing? He's playing more like we expected prior to coming into the season, even though he was slinging it last week. Uh, I like the Tennessee Titans to do. I like Will Levis. I like Will Levis to have another good game and start getting the Tennessee faithful to believe that this is your quarterback of the future. I like him so much. I think he's going to throw over 1.5 touchdowns. I think he's thrown for over 1.5 touchdowns this week. I'm getting that at plus 154. Big bounce back week for Mr. Levis. Pays good. I like the line. I like the bet. And I think that he's more than capable of doing it. I like the Tennessee Titans, and I like Will Levis to lead the charge in the air.
Yeah, no, I that's really good value on that bet. 154 is fantastic for what is an average game for a quarterback is 2 touchdown passes. So I like that a lot. I will challenge you on Mountain West Love. I am going to a Friday night watch party to watch Wyoming and San Jose State. A buddy of mine works up in Laramie for University of Wyoming. We're doing a
Yes.
watch party down here in Denver. The game starts at 8:45. What the hell, Mountain West? Who wants to be up till midnight watching football?
This
So
guy,
anyway,
this guy.
I'm
I
gonna
got I got to
go. I'm
win
gonna
back
go
what I
watch.
lost.
I'm
I
gonna
got
go
to win
watch
back what I
Wyoming and
lost.
San Jose State in a bar a couple blocks away. Uh, because I'm a glutton for I don't know, hot wings and Mountain West football, as my eyes want to shut. But anyway,
A glutton for
uh,
Mountain West football. I don't
that's
think I've
yeah.
ever
So if
heard
you
that
if you
phrase used ever.
if you're in Denver, come on down to Jackson's on Friday night. I'll be there, um, uh, cheering on the Wyoming Cowboys. Anyway, for this game, I don't like Tampa Bay. I like Tennessee because they still have some. I mean, I still like DeAndre Hopkins. I still like Derrick Henry, and I'm curious about Will Levis. His 4 touchdowns were a bit of a mirage. He wasn't as good in that game as those numbers indicated, but I do think he's capable of throwing 2 touchdown passes against the Tampa Bay defense that just got torched last week. The defense actually has been pretty good most of the time, but they're running out of reasons to play, and I think that Tennessee is going to win this game.
Will Levis, the man not only born in the same Massachusetts town as me, but born in the same hospital as me. The man who grew up 15 minutes from my house and played at our co-high school, our Catholic all boys counterpart that all my friends got to go to. Um, I had a little, I have to be a little bit biased towards him sometimes just for the hometown love. But coming into the draft, you guys knew that I wasn't that high on him. as a prospect. I thought that he could be good in the future, but picking him in the top 15 was just a no-go. And because he has a lot of development to do, I think that development still needs to be made. I think being a backup for the first part of the season and kind of fighting for that second string job from Malik Willis was good for him. I think it really did help his fire and breaking up with his ex girlfriend or whatever happened there. I think that might have helped him too. But I think that I like to see him win. I think that he can. He has the ability to. I don't think it's going to be very difficult to play well against this Buccaneers team. I think he could put up some pretty above, like slightly above average stats. I would say like 215 yards and 2 touchdowns, not throwing the ball a hell of a lot, giving the ball to Derrick Henry quite a bit. I think this Buccaneers team is they're just stinking it up, man. And it's sad to see because I wanted to see Baker Mayfield have a good year, which I think he's having a solid year, but it's just Titans are just, I think with that fire from Will Levis, they're just slightly better. So I'll take the Titans +1 as well.
All right, Ben, thank you very much. Those are your 4 games. And now on to my 4 games for the weekend. We're going to begin with the biggest point spread of the weekend, one of the biggest of the year. The New York Giants starting Tommy DeVito, undrafted Tommy DeVito against the Dallas Cowboys. And, the Cowboys lost to the Arizona Cardinals, and then the next week they went out and they absolutely destroyed the New England Patriots in anger. This last week they lost the Philadelphia Eagles in a really good game. I mean, they got down to the 3-yard line before the game was over. They played well. The offense looked pretty good. And, man, their schedule gets super sweet right now. They got the Cowboys and they got the Panthers. They've got the Commanders and the Seahawks all before they play the Eagles. Meanwhile, the Eagles have the Chiefs, the Bills, and there's one other really good team on there that I am blanking on. But they play 3 playoff teams, whereas the Cowboys get the dregs. So that game, second week of December, may be actually for first place. Cowboys are going to make sure and get this job done here. They're going to hammer the Giants. You may remember week 1, they played the Giants and they beat them 40-0. They just kicked the crap out of them in all phases of the game. They blocked a field goal. They returned for a touchdown. They sacked Daniel Jones 7 times. And Daniel Jones is mobile. Tommy DeVito, they're coming for you. Michael Parsons coming for you. DeMarcus Lawrence coming for you.
Be scared. Be terrified.
Yeah, be scared. Be scared, Tommy. Not we don't root against Tommys on this show, but Tommy DeVito for sure he's gonna get worked. I like the Cowboys so much in this game that I am going my prop on this. I am gonna go the Cowboys halftime spread. They're gonna be up by 14 to 17 points at halftime. I am going minus 11.5 on that first half, and then we're gonna go full game over 38.5. Yes, the Giants may only get 7 points. It doesn't matter. The Cowboys will handle the rest. They're going to score 35 points in this game. This game is going to go over, and the Cowboys are going to have a huge halftime lead. I am going to get plus 400 on that parlay, and that's how good I feel about the Cowboys this week. I think the Giants are going to get whipped. That 16-point spread, not nearly enough for just how bad the Giants are and how bad they're going to look on Sunday.
If the Giants pull off a win, it'll go down as one of the biggest upsets in NFL history. This minus 16-point spread, they won 40-0 with their quote unquote star starter at quarterback. They just paid a lot of money to, and he didn't score a single point. Now let's throw Tommy DeVito in that offense, and a Giants team that was healthy at the beginning of the year, and everybody's a little more banged up halfway through. I'm kind of scared this could be like a record-breaking offensive performance from the Cowboys. I mean, 40-0 against Daniel Jones. It could be like we could see the biggest point differential in the Super Bowl era right now. I'd love to know what that number is, but I think that the Cowboys have a chance to beat it. I love your prop. I love this pick. Obviously, like it's tough. Like I'm not going to be picking this for my favorite just because the spread is minus 16, and that's always dangerous regardless of the situation. but if I had the balls to do it, which I don't, I would. I
Hmm.
love it.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito coming in here. Who, by the way, doesn't that name sound more like he should be the hitman of Hoboken more than like a NFL quarterback? Like, what's going on? Uh, yeah, I don't have any hope for this guy whatsoever. I think that the Dallas Cowboys beat the Giants so badly, we all forget about what Miami did to Denver early on in the season. I like the Dallas Cowboys to cover 16.
Tommy, you mentioned how this would be one of the biggest upsets. The money line on this particular game, the Giants are paying plus 845. Cowboys paying minus 1,625. So if you want to go ahead and make the Cowboys your easy money line bet and win, a buck 07 on $100 bet, go right ahead. Yeah, that's people don't have a good feeling about this Giants team, shockingly. All right. Arthur Smith, he no longer has his mustache. He's also lost a lot of respect over the course of the season because he does not know how to handle an offense, even though he is both the head coach and the play caller for the Atlanta Falcons. What are you saving Bijan for? I mean, what are you doing? Um, Look, I appreciate that you went to Taylor Heineke, although let's be honest, Taylor Heineke was not any better than Desmond Ritter. He was all over the place. If you go back and watch, I rewatched that game this morning. Man, his accuracy was all over the place. He should have had 3 interceptions in the game. He got lucky there. The Falcons. It's hard to know if Drake London's going to be back. He was out last week. You would think, oh wow, Kyle Pitts is going to shine now that Drake London. He's got to be the guy. Nope, still not the guy, because Arthur Smith is a football terrorist, and he will not allow any of your fantasy football players to have good games because he does not care about stats or winning or anything. He just cares about implementing his system. Does not matter the results because the results are garbage, and he still rolls it out there. Um, Kyler Murray is back for the Arizona Cardinals. Is that going to make a difference? I don't think so yet. I think Kyler is well. Partly there's just nobody else. I mean, who else is on this Cardinals team that he can rely on? With James Conner down, I don't know. I like Kyler to provide a couple of sparks. I do think the Falcons, just because they have better personnel, they will make up for their terrible head coach, and they will win this game on the road. I think Kyler Murray and the Cardinals will make some noise in a couple of weeks, but this will be Kyler's first game in a year. We're not quite sure how mobile he's going to be. I mean, most of his game is being able to run around like a little water bug, and we'll see if he's able to do that on his knee. It was only 11 months ago that he tore his ACL, so we'll have to see. It may be a full another year before he actually looks like Kyler Murray. And because of that, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons as much as I want Arthur Smith to lose.
I despise Arthur Smith as a coach, as a human being. I mean, he just hates football and he hates happiness and he hates when people smile. He probably hates Christmas and he might be either Scrooge the Grinch or both. Um Scrooge no, the Grinch before his heart grew. I'm talking about the Grinch that's stealing all the stuff. But it's just God, I would refuse to put money on this game because I know that the Falcons are going to win and it just pains me and I refuse to to win money off of that Falcons team and that would mean that I have any kind of faith in them. However, if you are going to put money on this game, you kind of have to put it on the Falcons by default.
You guys are being so mean to Arthur Smith. He's doing a lot of important things right now, like trying to figure out how many licks it takes to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop, okay? Like, you guys have some respect for this man. He's doing some serious work. And why are we only talking about Arthur Smith? Jonathan Gannon's also there in his office practicing hot cross buns on his recorder for his big recital next month. You guys need to have some respect for these hardworking gentlemen, okay? Uh, if either of them can accidentally find their way to the field, out their office, down the hallway, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they can find their ways to the sideline, who knows what's gonna happen? It's gonna be a football game, and it's gonna be on wherever NFL Sunday Ticket is provided, because I don't know any market that wants to even air this game. Um, yeah, I'll go the Falcons, but that's because I flipped a coin. I don't really care, you know.
Yeah. No, I think it's on in Fulton County, Cobb County, Gwinnett County, and then Maricopa County. I believe those are where the broadcast will be limited to. If you are in eastern Arizona, you'll get the Dallas Cowboys. If you're in western Arizona, you'll get the California games. It's really just the greater Glendale area as to where this game anybody has any interest in this game. Um, it's interesting though. The Cardinals right now are in position to have the number one overall draft pick, but they have a very expensive QB1, and that very expensive QB1 has the potential to play them out of the first overall draft pick. I'm just saying this is it's and I mean, if he doesn't spend all of his time playing World of Warcraft or whatever it is that he plays, I'm not a video gamer guy, so I don't know.
He's been practicing in the VR headset, Kyle. Let's not mock it. This is serious work. This is serious business being done by these two teams.
VR football, man. VR football. He's locked in, and then VR Call of Duty as well. All of the above. The new Modern Warfare game is coming out. You know that Kyler's throwing 3 picks that Sunday.
With all the money that Arizona gave him, his gaming setup at home has just got to be unreal. Like the theater that he plays in has got to be incredible.
I'm pretty sure he streams.
I bet there's so many holes in the wall. That's just short dude energy going on, you know.
Yeah.
You can't.
I mean, he
throws that controller through the wall every other day. Yeah.
Better than he throws a football, by the way. Like the spiral on it.
Kyler is just a longer version of Kyle. I mean, he's just punching holes in that wall, drinking Monster Energy.
He was the starting quarterback on my Kyle football team. So, all right, wow. Let's move on to a game that actually I think will be much better than this one. The Denver Broncos now they've won 2 games in a row. They've ended the losing streak. They actually have a pretty favorable schedule if you lay it out. They could, in fact, play themselves into some meaningful football by the end of the year. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills now 5-4. They are hanging on to their playoff hopes. They are not looking very good. Josh Allen continues to be a turnover machine, and the Bills are. It's funny because you've got the Broncos are in last place, the Bills are in second place. But if you were to look at the Denver fan base versus the Buffalo fan base, the Broncos fans are happy. They're feeling good. The team is feeling good. The Bills, meanwhile, are feeling like that Super Bowl window that everybody said was closing is really closing around their neck. And because of that, I think the Broncos are going to go into Buffalo. They're going to play with some freedom. They're going to play they're not worried. They're playing with confidence right now. And I think that a 7.5 point spread for a team like Buffalo is too much. And I'm not going to necessarily pick the Broncos to win this game, although it would not surprise me if it happened. I do think, however, that they will cover this point spread. I see this as a field goal game and definitely not more than a touchdown game. I like the Denver Broncos to cover this spread. How about that?
Ben, you go ahead and speak on your team, man.
Call us Will Ferrell, because we're going streaking, boys, okay? This is an amazing win streak. It's all coming up roses for us, and we're going straight to the playoffs. Never once doubted. I never once was like, hey, thank God the Nuggets are playing. I never once was like, thank God the Avs are on. Because I've always known it's football season, and Denver's a football city, damn it. We all knew this was going to happen. Listen, as long as the Broncos can keep it, just keep pounding the rock, keep Russell Wilson under 23 attempts, all right? Make sure that he's getting value when he's looking to pass it. The sky's the limit for this team. The defense is so much improved. It really is shocking to even imagine the fact that 70 points were put up on this defense, especially when you watch them play Kansas City the way they did both times. This is a much improved team. In adversity, really shows you what you got. And if they can come out of this other end of the adversity truly as the victors, uh, sky's the limit. I truly think. I think that they could rally themselves into a wild card spot. I could also see this team winning 3 more games all season. This is a hinge moment. They just got to go out there, play it close. I think that 7.5 is easily coverable. I like the Broncos here, and I also like them to win the game because I enjoy being heartbroken.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more I can add to this. You guys really hit all the points. Josh Allen has been a bit of a turnover machine. The Broncos defense, ever since that, the game that shall not be named, realistically, they've stepped it up a notch. They're more of the Broncos defense that we expected to see. We thought that the Broncos defense was going to be their strong suit this year. Russell Wilson's playing some pretty damn good football. Let's be honest here. I think this Broncos team is just turning it around right now. I think hopefully the Sean Payton effect actually is a positive effect. And I would like to see the Broncos win. As much as my preseason predictions had the Bills their last chance winning the Super Bowl. Regardless of that, I would love to see a Broncos win here, and I'd love to see a resurgence of that team.
Really quickly to that Sean Payton point, I will say this. Shout out to Sean Payton because I was sitting here talking about how bad he was doing at managing this team and about how a lot of the mistakes were around his decision making. And, I think it took him a long time to realize, hey, you can't let Russell be the star attraction of this offense. You got to go back to the fundamentals. We got to go back to pounding the rock. But to his credit, they have been doing that and they are winning games now that they're doing it. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, so yeah, to his credit, he did not just stay doing what, the Sean Payton way. It's a more boring brand and it's not flashy like we're used to from Sean Payton, but it's working. So if they can keep it going, let's go Broncos, right?
Well, this is the schedule that is ahead for them. Obviously, they got the Bills this week. Then they've got 2 home games in a row, Minnesota and Cleveland, both winnable games. Then they're on the road at Houston, a winnable game. Then they go to the Chargers, a winnable game. Then they've got on the road at Detroit. We'll call that a loss. But then they're back home against the Patriots. And for some god awful reason, that's in prime time. Then they got their second game against the Chargers at home, winnable. Then they finish up at Las Vegas. This is not a gauntlet of a schedule. Now, as you said, I mean, they've already lost to Las Vegas. They lost to the Jets. They lost to the Commanders. They can lose a lot of these games, but really only the Lions game would I say they don't have a chance to win. All the rest of these games are winnable football games for them. And yeah, they've already got 5 losses, so they're a little behind the 8 ball right now. But could they finish 10-7? Absolutely, they could. All right.
11-6, dare to
I think
dream.
that's a little crazy, but look, they could still be in the playoffs for sure, or at the very least, playing games at the end of the season that actually have meaning. When we weren't sure they were even going to make it out of September, so that's it's quite a turnaround. 2 teams that we were hoping that maybe should have stayed in September: the New York Jets at the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, give the Raiders credit; they finally got rid of Josh McDaniels. But did you hear all the nonsense that came out? So apparently, the players had a meeting where they just basically all aired their grievances at Josh and really went off on him. Their new interim head coach got up and spoke, and he talked about how when he was playing for the Giants in 2007, everybody had counted out the Giants. They then went beat the Patriots. Well, that was Josh McDaniels' Patriots, and he got all pissy about that. Took him aside and said, "Don't you ever say anything negative about the Patriots." Apparently, that word got back to Mark Davis that Josh McDaniels cared more about the Patriots' legacy from 15 years ago than he does about creating a legacy for the Raiders right now. And Mark Davis appropriately said, "Get the hell out of town." Now, at first, when I watched the Raiders celebrating their win last week as if they had just won the Super Bowl, I thought it was a little ridiculous. But then I thought more about it, and they had this weight of this horrible head coach over them for the last 2 years. They got rid of that. Yes, it was only a win against the Giants, but everybody just seemed to be happier. They were actually playing football instead of working football through Josh McDaniels. It showed. I think that kind of freedom that the Raiders have right now is going to carry over against a pretty bad Zach Wilson. The Jets defense is great. The Jets offense is abysmal. Garrett Wilson called out his side of the football after their performance on Monday against the Chargers. Man, you've got the Vikings have Joshua Dobbs now, and maybe their season can continue. The Rams just went out and picked up Carson Wentz. Why did the Jets stand pat after Aaron Rodgers went down? Why? And this is fully on Robert Saleh for continuing to feed that narrative that, hey, Zach Wilson is getting better. No, he isn't. We all watch football. He's not getting better. He's getting worse. So don't feed me this garbage that, oh, Zach Wilson is coming around. This team still. No, he's absolutely horrid, and he's going to lose the game for them another week. They're going to play winning football on the defensive side of the field, but because their quarterback is hot garbage, and all you Jets people, the front office and the coaching staff all have fed into this, you're going to be stuck losing games because he's terrible. You deserve to lose. I don't like the Raiders at all. I would love the Raiders to go 0-17 every year, but they're going to win this game because they actually care about playing football again. They have you got Aiden O'Connell is going to start. He's a fifth round rookie. He's much better than Zach Wilson. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders. I can't believe the Raiders are getting points. I'm taking those points, and I am hammering the Raiders to beat the Jets.
The Jets are a very dramatic football team. Everything that happens in the Jets organization, it's drama. The media is all over them, hounding them about little things. Aaron Rodgers coming back from an Achilles tear. Zach Wilson, Robert Saleh, the way he talks about his team. I mean, and their play calling isn't great. I mean, the only reason Zach Wilson's stats may look slightly better than they have in years past is because the supporting cast is better. But that is just on paper. Off paper, and by the way, on paper, he has a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which when I say it's better, it happens to be the best touchdown interception ratio of his career, a 1-to-1. So that goes to show what we've seen from Zach Wilson so far. He's a bust. Get over him. This is like if the Raiders started Jamarcus Russell for 3 more seasons. I'm appalled by the Jets organization. Everything that happens in that locker room is publicized. Garrett Wilson complaining about the offense. Understandably, all of this is just media dessert. They're feeding on this. The Raiders, their source of drama, disappeared. Now the Raiders, they don't have the press like hounding them about Josh McDaniels. All that they have to focus on is football. And that's all they wanted. And I actually like this new Raiders team. The only thing that kept me away from the Raiders was Josh McDaniels. If I'm being like so honest here, I think I've always had a soft spot for the Raiders because I mean they've always been a bit of an underdog. I was kind of a big Derek Carr guy. I liked the moves they made to get Devontae Adams. Now they can play football that they want to play, and that football is going to be winning football over time. They just need to and they got very lucky because they get 1 week of the worst offensive team in the NFL, and then the next week they get to play one of the next worst. They kind of got blessed in that regard, especially with a coaching change. They get to kind of slowly like roll their way into the rest of the season, playing the 2 New York teams, but or New Jersey teams, I guess. I think that this Raiders team is going to win outright. They're going to win by 4 or 5 points. It's going to be another win that the Raiders can stamp on their resume, hit 500, and maybe somehow, find a wild card spot.
Man, you gotta feel bad for Fireman Ed. Our favorite spelling bee extraordinaire, guy who keeps reminding you what team he roots for, but you got it sounded out first. I what is this football team, man? It is absolutely disgraceful, and I hope that Fireman Ed goes and plays the slots instead of watching this game, because I think he'd have better odds of having a happy outcome at the slot machine. Okay, this Raiders team, their locker room is feeling good about themselves. And the Jets locker room is self-destructing. None of the offensive players want to be around Zach Wilson. And I wouldn't either, dude. It might rub off on you. You know what I'm saying? I like the Raiders to cover 1.5, and I like them to win.
Yeah, an EPA per play So Brock Purdy leads the NFL 0.32 points per play. So that means every series he's adding a point to the 49ers. Zach Wilson is minus 0.24 points per play. So every series he's subtracting a point from the Jets. It is easily the worst in the league. His success rate is 37%, easily the worst in the league. There's nobody even near him. He's Daniel Jones and Bryce Young are lapping Zach Wilson right now, and they've had awful years. This guy should not be in the NFL starting. Go send Sam Darnold back to the Jets. He would be much better quarterback than this clown. So the Raiders, he's still 38 or 39, probably keeping himself in good shape.
He's still in baseball shape or something. I don't know. He's got to be better than Zach Wilson. Our grandmas are better than Zach Wilson at this point.
All right, I am tired of talking about the Jets. We are done with all of our picks for the week. We now move on to our really important segment. These are where we choose the best picks of the week. Tommy knew the most about backup quarterbacks. So Tommy, your favorite of the week. Which of your favorites is the best pick of the week?
My favorite of the week, I'm going to go with I'm between two teams right now. I'm going to make a decision very abruptly. I'm going Detroit minus 2.5.
Detroit minus 2.5 at the Chargers. All right.
Schnoil, baby.
Your top dog for the week.
My top dog of the week is going to be the Raiders plus 1.5.
Raiders getting 1.5 points. All right. And your easy money line pick of the week.
My easy money line pick. Just looking at our what we got for money line so far. I am going to go with. Give me just 1 second because I did not get a chance to look at this earlier.
Take those Dallas Cowboys at minus 1,625.
Yeah, all right, man. I'm gonna have to go with. Should I do it?
All right, we've got affiliates that are trying to plan their programming out.
Broncos.
On the money line.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, watch this. I saw
plus 292.
Plus, I saw on DraftKings it was plus 295.
All right, we'll give you plus 295.
I have to, man. I've been on a streak. I think right now I'm 6-2 or 7-2 on the year for money lines. I mean, this is a banger right here. How much money have I made so far? I want to know, what will I hit after?
You're at $849.
And will I hit the?
Well, you'll add 292 to that, so yes, you would.
Oh wow, I would really hit the 1,000 mark on the year. Goodness gracious! Please, Denver, please! I'm begging you.
And if I was a foot taller, I would have been a basketball player. So we'll see how that goes. All right, Ben, your favorite of the week.
Favorite of the week is going to be the Indianapolis Colts.
All right.
I couldn't decide on them. I wasn't sure.
Indy they're giving 1.5 in Frankfurt. All right, top dog.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Broncos 7.5.
Plus 7.5. And your easy money line.
Caesars currently is gonna give you even money, that sweet plus 100 for the Tennessee Titans. I'm gonna hammer that. I'm gonna go make a Caesars account right now. Plus 100, are you kidding me? It's literally a minus 110 across the board for everyone else. Let's go, Caesars.
I like it. All right, for my favorite, I am going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, giving 3.5 to the Green Bay Packers. My top dog, I am going to go with the Washington Commanders, getting 6 points in Seattle. And my favorite, I am going to go with the Minnesota Vikings at plus 129. All right. Yes, I did pick the Saints to win that game earlier, but plus 129 feels pretty good for a home team coming off a big win. I still think that obviously the Saints are the favored and they will probably win, but plus 129 is a pretty good deal for me. So I am going to go with that. All right. Just to recap, Tommy's favorite, the Detroit Lions, giving 2.5 points to the Chargers. Top dog is the Las Vegas Raiders, getting 1.5 against the Jets. And he inexplicably has taken the Denver Broncos at plus 292 as his easy money line. Ben O'Connell has the
I love that pick. I'm sorry.
Indianapolis Colts giving 1.5 in Frankfurt to the New England Patriots. He's got the Denver Broncos as his top dog, getting 7.5 points. Tennessee Titans paying even money against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at plus 100. My favorite of the weekend, the Pittsburgh Steelers giving 3.5 points to the Green Bay Packers. My top dog, the Washington Commanders, getting 6 points at the Seattle Seahawks. My easy money line pick of the week, the Minnesota Vikings at plus 129. I was also thinking about Jacksonville at plus 148, but I just don't think they're going to keep up with the 49ers. So even though that's a pretty good deal at plus 148, I think it's probably lost money. So that is it, gentlemen. Week 10, our show is in the book now. We just have to play some football. Obviously, the best team in the NFL is on a bye this week. I'm, of course, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. See, you guys thought I was talking about the Chiefs.
No, I didn't.
No.
No,
because I said best team, so that gave it away that I wasn't talking about the Chiefs. But anyway, we do have that Eagles-Chiefs game next weekend, which will be a lot of fun. But before we get there, we've got a whole action-packed Week 10, a lot of great games I'm looking forward to. Gentlemen, I appreciate you. Again, come on out and watch some Mountain West with me on Friday night. Be bleary-eyed at 1 o'clock in the morning as I walk home. On behalf of the three of us, thank you so much for watching. Please tell your friends, tell your family, NFL points, picks, and props is the way to go. We are winning you money. Tommy Burch in Springfield, Massachusetts, he's winning you the most money right now if you listen to him on money lines. Ben O'Connell is actually doing quite well on top dogs. He is 5-3-1 on his top dogs for the season. And I am both 5-4 on my favorite picks and my dog picks. So the fact is if you're following our advice, you are winning money. On behalf of Tommy in Springfield, Massachusetts, Ben in Chicago, Illinois, I am Kyle in Denver, Colorado, and we are NFL Points, Picks, and Props. Happy betting, everybody.
Did you know that Elway wants to sign Dobbs to a $40 million contract?
I'm for it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, just the nature of how it all happened. It was a really cool moment, as I shared after the game, just being in Atlanta and watching a lot of games at the old Georgia Dome with Mike Vick and Matt Ryan leading the charge, and being out there on that field competing meant a lot, and especially get a win at home. So it was a very surreal moment, man. It's definitely something I'll remember for a long time.
And Dobbs gets out of it. Will keep, and he's going to keep running. Leaping.
University Player of the Week was pretty cool accomplishment this week, but just want to give a shout out. I know we talked about after the game, but just going back, watching the film and everything, truly was a team effort.
And find the presence to get himself out of bounds. I tell you what, this guy has just been amazing. Running the football and creating plays outside of the pocket.
I thought it was really fun after the game. When you win, obviously plane rides back home are very enjoyable. So just having a chance to informally meet teammates and coaches and just, talk ball, but also just talk life.
Time. Catch! Brandon Powell, touchdown Vikings, and they have the lead.
He didn't like him, so he goes back to the slot. Here you see Powell just whipping outside after he fakes the inside cutting route, and Dobbs coming all the way back to the opposite side that he started looking at.